One. Hi CD, how on my mic on?
Oh,
how you doing, CD? Mic on. How you doing, CD?
Yeah, good.
Hey, what's
good.
up? How's it going?
Yeah,
Welcome to Long Live Podcast. I'm your frequent host, James Podcast. I'm your frequent host, James Waters.
There's a massive delay because my computer is exhausting all of its power because I've got Skype open because I've got
OBS
Skype
open
and OBS open,
YouTube Live open,
and all the rest of it.
YouTube Live open.
But
we'll try this anyway. So,
we were just talking about
we were just talking about
archetypes and how the human embodies
and
how the human embodies
archetypes all at once, right?
Sort of various archetypes all at once, right?
Right. What is the human, right?
Right.
Even in the Diogenic sense, like Diogenes was like the chicken. He held it up in front of, and he was like, what is the human?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a dead chicken, right? And now we can get into some weird concept of like the human and the chicken, but like we've done domesticated the chicken, right? So
yeah,
we could say like the human understands and knows the chicken.
Right.
Okay. Right. Now, how do we as a human know like the chicken exists? The chicken intelligence exists. And the human intelligence, we're trying to say that is different from that intelligence, or is this, and so we have a relationship with a chicken just because we domesticated it. What do we do now? Like, and we're talking about like, so ultimately, like the human, and is something that can be a chicken even.
Right.
So a human could also be a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so. I mean, this thing about human nature. This thing about human nature. It's so malleable. I mean, we are literally. Our greatest strength is our adaptability. Our greatest strength is our adaptability.
Right. And what drives that? For us. It's like, and it seems to come so natural to us. Like our mutable natures. It's just very, like mutagenic even. It's not just mutable. It's like mutagenic. And and you could be like, technology drives that. That's what
you mean, like
technology
in the wider sense, like sort of, you mean like technology in the wider sense, language, like sort of, even like institutions as technology, institutions as technology.
Right. You've seen the meme about the fucking crabs, like, and how crabs are peak evolution. And there's like this whole meme going around about crabs.
What's the reason behind it? Why is that? What's the reason behind it? Why is that?
I don't know. I haven't really like I think there's like, I think that all crustaceans or mollusks or whatever are like what are they?
Lobsters.
Lobsters.
They like, it's before they become lobsters. They like, that's like the propensity of their evolution is to develop these shells and pincers.
Yeah.
And so like that's their peak evolution to do that for whatever reason. Like, and so like, do humans have a peak evolution?
I mean, like that's the. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's the. I mean, that's the thing. Depends on what you mean throughout time, because the thing about. Depends on what you mean throughout time. Because the thing about they are still evolving and they keep changing. Is that, I watched this great conversation on metaphysics. I watched this great sort of conversation on metaphysics. Biologists, like philosophers, whatever. But biologists, and one of the those guys are very good things. And one of the make about guys are very good things. Like point to make about Darwinism. It's not going anywhere. There is no. It's not going anywhere. It's not. No creature is more evolved than creature. Like a carrot is just as evolved as a human. Like a carrot is just as evolved as a human. It does everything it needs to do just as well as a human. It does everything it needs to do just as well as a human.
I mean, even in the, like, as far as like how much genetic material they have in them, they might even be more evolved.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, it depends on. It depends on what you mean. Well, I mean, like, yeah, it depends on what you mean by like evolved, because
like the ability to adapt to the environment. Like the adaptability to an environment, like their sustainability, right? That kind of like assumes that adaptability is like a virtue. Adaptability is like a virtue in the mind of evolution. Evolution's in the mind of evolution, which isn't actually right. Yeah. Well, yeah, but the problem is that we start to talk about virtue in the teleological sense, like when we start talking about like purpose and value and stuff, and yeah, the earthworm probably has more like genetic material in us than we do, right?
Yeah.
Like but that doesn't necessarily equate in the way that we think of evolution, right? But if we look if we think about evolution as sustainability, right? Like we're definitely not peak evolution.
I mean, like, if you want to, if that's the way you want. I mean, like, if you want to, if that's the way you want to describe evolution, that'll you know, if you're talking about like maybe like if you're talking about like maybe like if you're talking about like success, but that's not that.
It plays into that concept of reproduction, but that plays into the idea the environment allows or sustains those bodies, right? The bodies adapt to the environment, but it's the environment around them that has to be maintained for them to adapt to it, right?
Yeah.
And like a perfect example is like the shark. The shark body hasn't changed in so many years of evolution, right? Because they're like adapted to a specific environment that's very sustainable, you know, over time compared, you know, to other species, right? And but okay, I'm jumping ships here. Are you familiar with are you familiar with the paperclip, universal paperclip?
I haven't heard of that. No, I might have. But I haven't heard of that. No, I might have, but I don't think I have.
Okay, yeah, it's a concept like that. Okay, there's an AI intelligence that's whole job is to produce.
Oh yeah, and it ends. Oh yeah, and it ends with killing all humans because the robot would realize that the robot would realize that the robot would realize that from doing its task. That humans could prevent it from doing its task.
There's a game. It's called the universal paperclip game. You just stack resources. It's like just try. It's the universal paperclip.
Yeah.
Now we can define life as a universal paperclip, right?
In what way? In what way?
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying we could define that in the sense that, you know, that's what we think of evolution as.
All right.
You know.
All right.
The universality of life.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, and this is my critique of actually panpsychism, is that life itself is universal, versus, you know, situational.
Okay. Right.
Traditional.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing about it, isn't it? This idea that like you can sort of put life into a certain box and say that's what it is, and put life into a certain box and say that's what it is, and apply that to all forms, you know, and say that like existence, you know, these things have a life essence, and these things have a life essence. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about? Have a life essence. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
And I would say that that's part of what we have attention. I mean, in science and a lot of the in our way we live the world, way we behave around, we put the human universal, like conceptually, like before all, and even into up to the universal, you know, paperclip concept. Is that the definition of the human? Constantly expanding, colonizing. You know,
right? Okay, that I kind of. Right. Okay, I'm getting where you're coming from. Because I mean, like that. I mean, that's because I mean, like that. I mean, that's previous generations, like it's like a constant, but one-way conversation. It's like a constant one-way conversation between the older generation. And I don't think there's much evidence of that. And I don't think there's much evidence of that being human nature. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's the case. I feel like certain ideas. I feel like
I feel like certain ideas have a lot more potency and influence. But there are so many, you think about all the outlier tribes, so many, that aren't connected to big culture and big civilization, aren't connected to big culture and big civilization, such as they live very non colonial, colonial. So I don't know lifestyles. So I don't know. It does boil down to just because a lot of people do the same kind of thing. Just because a lot of people do the same kind of thing. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about like some of the most sustainable human cultures were not like colonially orientated.
Yeah.
They were like you think of like in Australia and stuff, like the Aborigines is apparently like a 45,000-year-old culture.
Right.
And but the way they treat the world, the way the relationship with the world is extremely different than the way we approach the world. And if you like look at their farming practices and the way they treat the land and all this other stuff was extremely different than the way we treat the world. And like looking at the way the indigenous populations of the world we're involved with agriculture and other things like that in ancient history is something that like archaeology and anthropology has actually been working on for a number of years, and bringing that intelligent, that level is I would tell you what, dude, it goes down to even the idea of the garden in your yard. The idea that you have these invasive species and non-invasive species. What's an invasive species? Like humans took their ships from one part of the world, and they brought mollusks and crustaceans on their ship from one world to the other, and they brought these invasive species.
Yeah.
Right. But invasive species are a problem. We got English blackberry over here in Pacific Northwest. English blackberry is a huge problem over here.
Right.
And it's from England.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. But we can say, oh, it doesn't belong here. But it's been here, what, 100 years now or whatever, or 200 years, 300 years, wherever. But the truth is, it's not. It's just not like an invasive species. It's part of the landscape at this point in time. So when does it become? When does an invasive species become part of the world? Right, and it plays into even immigration concepts of the world. I mean, this is like we're talking about the micro political, like
Plank political. Plank political. The nano political. The nano political.
The COVID virus, right? The COVID virus is like infecting our planet, or the human population of our planet, and we're reacting to it. Now, where are we choosing? There's no choice. There's a virus, and we have to make choices because the virus is deciding choices for us.
Right.
That's just crazy to think about. Right. Like we don't really have a freedom. Our freedoms are being lost because COVID exists.
Well, I mean, like but there's always like but there's always that.
And viral intelligence is smarter than us. That's crazy.
Right. Well, it's not. I mean, it is just like. Well, it's not. I mean, it is just like freedom. It would just be freedom becomes like freedom. In this particular sense of I want to go out. This particular sense of I want to go out and play bowling. So many other sorts of freedom. But there's so many other kinds of ways we can actually so many other kinds of ways we can actually be prevented from being free in certain ways.
Right. So, well, I mean, it's not unfamiliar with us. The mask is not a new technology. The mask is not. I mean, the clothing is not a new technology. You don't wear winter clothes in the summer. You don't wear summer clothes in the winter.
Well, yeah.
It's the environment that determines the clothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We can try to bypass that environment and create this world where there's no summer and winter. It's essentially what we try to do in our modern concept of time. Like there's no summer and winter. It's all just time all the time. Use time to get up.
Yeah. I mean that. I mean the thing is, I mean that. I mean the thing is, it's like it's a strange one because it's a strange one. You were speaking about you were speaking about someone winter. You're speaking about summer and winter. I mean, like the thing about environments is that, like, the thing about environments problem that human beings have. The real problem that human beings have is this capacity to feel separate, and it's this sort of Schrödinger's separation. It's this sort of Schrödinger's separation. I think. Are we separate or not? Because in a much more deeper fundamentals, in a much despite all of our fundamentals, we aren't. Despite all of our behaviours, we aren't. In every way, act as if we are separate. In every way, act as if we are. I think we have a lot. I think we have a lot of these sorts of strange paradoxical messes that we've strange paradoxical messes that we've got into. Speaking epistemologically, or metaphysically, or morally, or metaphysically, we have these sorts of like dividing by zero. We have these sorts of like dividing by zero to ourselves, implicitly as separate from ourselves, implicitly as separate from nature. That's what I think.
Yeah. It's very idealist. It's very idealist, you know. It's kind of an idealist concept of self. Like there's a, like, I mean, it does play into the concept of freedom. Like the self is free from the world. Like the self is what causes the world, even, or determines the world. Even in the Nietzschean sense, of, you know, you know, you have the responsibility. You are the Übermensch. Now what?
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, I was reading Nietzsche. I mean, I was reading Nietzsche just like now what? An hour ago, and it is this kind of like now what? Be bold, face truth, kind of sentiments. Be bold, kind of sentiments.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and the truth is that we are confronting a paradox, but it's an internal paradox. It's a living paradox that we, you know, like in humans are all about going to that edge, seeing that edge, manipulating that edge, using that edge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We see it. We know it. You know, we want to control it and make ourselves the boss of it. Right. But the edge is technically, like in the philosophic sense, the black swan. That's the black swan event. Or death or whatever. You know, and that's the Cthulhu. The unknown.
Abyss, whatever. The abyss.
Yeah, well, the human. We that's one of the things that humans can do. We can confront it in ways that other animals can't. Other animals will like, that's the fucking edge. I'm not touching it, motherfucker. The humans can purposely bypass that. Right? We can do the work, you know, confronting that, and I think that, but it still makes us feel. We still experience all the other things, those animal experiences of fear and anxiety and all this other stuff when we do that. Like when we go up to get up because we need to go to work to pay our bills, we're confronting the edge of life or death. Because if you don't pay your bills, you can't have food or anything else.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the paradigm we've created. That's what capitalism created, right? Where like you have your private life, and unless you are you know, able to maintain your private life, you are not. You die, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
There's a private life, that the individual has a private life, that the self is private versus public.
Yeah.
And I think that we have trouble because we get worried that we're going to lose ourselves to the public, lose ourselves to the environment. We're going to be gone from that.
Well, I'd separate public from environment. Well, I'd separate public from environment
because
I
definitely separate those two things.
Because the public, we can all live a social life. We can all live a social life, but an individual's connection with can be very powerful. Even if he is a hermit, can be very powerful, very profound.
Well, right. So I was using the public more like in the sense of like, you know, the communal pool, like everybody goes to. You know, when I use that word, you know, like public, you know, and it's the public is the communal. We all shit in the same fucking pool in heaven.
Right.
It all shit runs downhill. Capital doesn't run downhill. Shit runs downhill.
Right. Right.
So like it's not the abstract or the extract that we want. It's the waste that what produces value.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I don't know. It's like we think that the value is all about what we can extract from the environment. And the environment is valuable because of what we can extract from it.
Yeah.
But I would argue. But I would argue that it's the waste that determines what we can actually make valuable out of the environment. It's how much waste we can produce or like keep from killing the environment or whatever.
It can definitely be like a sort of how valuable something is, about whether it produces a lot of waste or a little about whether it produces a lot of waste or a little bit of waste.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, even on the efficiency, like straight like mathematical efficiency scale, it absolutely matters.
Yeah.
Like I'm from Alaska, so we do like you're worried about how you make sure your home's separate from the cold.
Yeah.
Right, and so you have to you make sure that energy efficient home, right?
Yeah.
And energy efficiency is important, but it definitely plays into like energy efficiency. Efficiency is not the same as the economy. But we jump to that concept the economy and efficiency are related, even in a physics sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And I would argue that efficiency is
not
the same as economy.
Yeah. Right.
Utility.
Yeah, I can.
Utility is not the same as function.
I mean, that's very prevalent that's very prevalent. Planned obsolescence, if you know what that is. Planned obsolescence, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence is just the idea. Planned obsolescence is just the idea. Why have something last? Why make a product that lasts 10 years? Why make a product that lasts 10 years? Sell the new product like the iPhone, and then sell the new product like the iPhone. The washing machine, MacBook, the MacBook, the razor, the electric razor, the electric razor, all of these things.
Well, right, and another sense of planned obsolescence is offsetting like where you put your waste economy. Like perfect example is recycling or waste. Like where does the trash go? Right, and that's planned obsolescence. They planned that for all that waste.
I get what you mean now. I do get what you mean now. I get what you mean now. It is what you mean now. Like it is.
It's built in the system.
I get what you mean now.
That
I get what you mean.
Considered, like not even part of it.
Why? Well, I mean, it's erased. Why? Well, I mean, it's erased, isn't it? It's erased from it's erased from. It's erased from the commodity proper experience of commodity fetishism and consumerism. All that. It's like this is all that. It's like this is having all the right objects. The right experience is having all the right objects. Everything's just great and gleeful. Everything's just great. Forget all about the waste because that doesn't fit in. Forget all about the waste because that doesn't fit in with the appropriateness of the experience.
Right, and it plays into the whole like recycle everything, like you personally responsible for saving the planet idea. But why are you? Right? The system itself, right? Like we don't plan you can go the idea is that you buy a plastic bag, you throw your trash in it and you fucking put it in the fucking dumpster. That's the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all that. As long as you're doing that, you're keeping your house clean. You're providing jobs for the garbage men.
Right.
You know, you're doing what you're supposed
to. Like buy clothes. I mean, even like buy clothes and allow the cycles of fashion and allow the cycles by you and very well which are not determined by you and very well might be determined
have
by
that change every 2 years, so you can
have that change
every
2 years, so you can have to buy new clothes
and throw the clothes
and
away.
also in terms of food growth,
and also in
or
terms
buy the straight cucumbers, buy the straight cucumbers. Don't buy the. I don't even think anyone even has decided. I don't even think anyone even. Oh, I don't like decided straight up. Oh, I don't like curvy cucumbers. Norm of like, well, kind of like I won't buy the cucumber because it's curvy. I won't buy the wet eye Westerner. Curvy, won't buy it because the wet eye Westerner, and then won't buy it because that's person growing the cucumber, and then the East person growing the cucumber in the East, for example, whatever. Oh, well, they don't like that cucumber, so I won't. Oh, well, they don't like that. Oh, well, that it's not normal. You know, so it's like this. Oh, well, it's not normal. You know, so it's like this process that never really began. It never, you know, it's this process that never really began. And obviously, what happens to the curvy cucumbers to get wasted? What happens to the curvy cucumbers to get wasted? So.
Yeah, it's an aesthetic. It's a manufactured aesthetic. You know, like it's all manufactured. It's marketed to you. You know, there's an idea of the way the world is, and that's what you should spend your money on and invest in it, because that's what's reproducible. That's what's, you know, able to be kept going in the, you know, bourgeoisie sense. You know, like you can reproduce it. That means reify it. It makes it real.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Bourgeois great for that. He is great for this. Bourgeois great for that. He is great for this sort of like notion of non-reality. Non-reality.
Have you read Guy Debord?
No.
Society of
I
Spectacle?
haven't. No, I've read a couple. I haven't. No, I've read a couple of. I studied him in university, and I studied him in university, and I read an essay on him, and I have a short book essay on him, and I'm friends with the guy who runs them by him, and I'm friends with the guy who runs them. That's my credentials for you, CD. That's my credentials for you.
No, that's good. You know, like the Society of Spectacle is like deep fucking, like, I love it. You know, and he I mean, like, he's working on, like, he's like the internet age before the internet age exists.
He is really.
Like,
he is really. He is.
He's talking about like the mimetic reduction of thought.
Yeah.
You know,
before memes, like way before memes were a thing. He did before memes, like way before memes were a thing. He did the stuff in like the 80s and 90s. Before like even that concept, before like even that concept of internet even existed. Like, I was talking to you yesterday about how astounding. I was talking to you yesterday about how astounding Baudrillard's accuracy to the future actually.
Well, a lot of those. I mean, even McLuhan's concept of the, you know, a lot of the media guys are really in that. Like McLuhan was like the medium is the message.
Oh yeah, that's McLuhan. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's McLuhan.
Yeah, I mean that concept is, you know, like is important even in an artistic sense. You know, like the eyes are different than the ears. You can't merge those systems. And you can put them in like and you do it through like film and all that other stuff, but the human body still translated, and even physics can't match, put the oral empirical system with photon electron exchange. They just don't match up as far as like they're working on it. There's a lot of like congruencies, but they just don't. They're just, you know, as far as like instrumentally, they're different.
Yeah.
Instrumentally, they're different. Your touch is different than your ears. Your taste is different than, you know, all these empirical systems exist, you know, and they're not like, you can say they're manufactured, but all of our technologies are like simulacrums of biological
like the camera,
systems.
the microphone. Yeah, like the camera, the microphone. Right. You know, the clothing, the clothing for touch. You know, the clothing for touch, I suppose.
Yeah, the carapace, the shell, the mask, everything.
You good?
Yeah. You know, the knife, everything.
You good? Yeah.
and the simulation would be the simulation versus simulacrum the simulation would be like Baudrillard was like, what's come first? The simulation or the simulacrum, right? Like the idea that there's a conceptual, like the claw is a concept, and the body manifests that claw.
Yeah.
Right. The fin, the even we're talking about biomorphism. Like in the ocean, the fin is necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not all biological organisms produce the fin.
Yeah.
As the only means of propulsion. But many biological objects do that in that space. The fin.
Yeah. The wing. Yeah.
Okay.
The wing.
Yeah. Which is basically the wing, right? Which is and then we do that in the we map it and we create an airplane. All the shit that we do, it's all fucking been mapped out by biological systems a long time ago. We're not reproducing. We're reproducing, or co-opting other systems.
Well, you can't reinvent the wheel. You can't reinvent the wheel, can you? Your imagination is only going to be based on your imagination is only going to be based on what you've seen. Reproductions we make are only going to be based off of reproductions we make are only going to be based off of what which kind of goes back to what we've already known. Which kind of goes back to what we're talking about regarding human nature and how human nature and how it seems like we know it's human nature to colonialize. It's human nature to colonialize and destroy environments and all the rest. Destroy environments. When that's just like all the rest. When that's just like that. We only think that when everyone does that. We only think that because everyone does. There's really no evidence. There's really no evidence. When talk about there's really no when talk about outlier tribes and indigenous people. They follow the same sign. They follow the same track.
Right. And okay, so the viral intelligence exists, the COVID intelligence exists, and if we make that viral definition as the definition of intelligence in the universal paperclip concept, the meme is the definition of intelligence.
Right. Now I know what you mean before when you were talking about. Now I know what you mean before when you were talking about smarter than having some way, having being smarter than us. We're smart in lots of other ways, but we're smart in lots of other ways. One thing that's COVID's very smart. It just one like a primitive intelligence. It just like a primitive intelligence you might want to call it.
Right. And if we grant that as the definition of intelligence is essentially what the capitalism does, or like a Machiavellian hypothesis, or even functional intelligence is, like when we try to map intelligence, it has to jump through all these hoops to prove it's intelligent. And we create those hoops. It's like, but then we disregard the fact that we're ourselves, like when they say like the human is the virus. Right, you've heard that, right?
Matrix.
And I was like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Matrix.
And I'd be like, no, the human's not really a virus. It's the ideologies that they're the virus. The memes.
The memes.
The
memes. Yeah.
Right. Ayn Rand is a meme. Objectivism is a meme. Capitalism is a meme. It's a mimetic intelligence. It's a paperclip intelligence.
All right, that's interesting. That's really interesting. All right, that's interesting. It seems that their veracity. It seems that their replicability of memes seems to be more powerful than how good those ideas actually are. Ideas actually are, which is quite sad.
Right, and that's what Baudrillard was talking about, right? Right. Was like, it's like, how do we break that? And it's kind of what the Hegelian dialectic was about. Like Hegel was like trying to like figure out a way out of it. That's a charitable interpretation of Hegel. You know, like in the right wing perspective, Hegel was like solved it all or whatever. So, but the idea that we can burst the bubble of this dialectic.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, and that the reproducible aspect isn't what's important at all. You know, in an artistic sense, art isn't done, you know, just to be able to be reproduced. It just exists, and actually be able to see that art is really the hardest.
Yeah, and I mean like and sort of and gauge into its profundity. And sort of gauge into its profundity.
Right.
Right. But you know, but obviously the meme. How do we divide the labor? How do we reproduce? How do we divide the labor? How do we reproduce? It's like the idea of idea. It's like the idea of production. You know, idea. It's like the reproduction idea that is reproduced all the time. You know.
Well, yeah, and it does play into the economy, right? Like, because you know, like we as like humans understand there's an economic aspect to our lives.
Yeah.
Like and it's, you know, and it's very outside of us, but it's pretty much universal. Like everybody understands that, like they have an economic value, and like some of these people think that the economic value is in that ability to reproduce. It's not your production, you know, like actual production. It's your reproduction value that matters. It's your ability to, you know, jump through hoops and follow all this, you know, demands and stuff that matter.
Yeah.
It's not about
you
like your actual ability to be yourself in the artistic sense.
Right.
You know, it's not about you as acknowledging your actual body of production of pooping and shitting and eating and all these other things that you do just naturally. Produce things.
Yeah.
You know, you're reproducing, but you're also producing, like in the sense that you have, you know, like you produce economy, whether or not you're like going out in the bed or not, or you know, doing anything outside.
What do you mean by that
exactly?
Do you mean like? What do you mean by that exactly? I mean, yeah. I suppose, like, yeah. Even if you're just lying in bed, you're checking Facebook and you're looking at ads. Checking Facebook and you're looking at entertain these little clicks. Entertain these click economy.
Whatever keeps you alive. Whatever keeps alive. I mean, the consumer sense. That's the consumer sense of value. I'm talking about the waste conception of value. Your waste itself is value.
Okay. Right. Okay.
In living systems, like did you know that like plants produce oxygen, right?
Yeah.
But it's waste.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm talking. The waste value. That waste value is what we're actually living off of. We're living off the waste of other living systems. That's capital. That's the true sense of capital.
How can I pawn these? For example, how can I pawn these clothes? For example, how can I pawn these clothes off to other people? I don't want them anymore. People are like, oh wow, it's such a great shirt. And then people are like, oh wow, it's such a great shirt.
Right. It's all waste value, you know. And I mean, like even in like the capital, like you know, top down, like, you know, trickle down economic type sense, you know, shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
It's not capital doesn't roll downhill. Shit rolls downhill. And the people at the bottom have to like make value out of shit.
That's great.
That's great. And that's what we do to all the living systems. We do that to other living systems, though. I'm saying we put pressure on all the environment around us, and they have to do the work to catch up with all the damage we're doing.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's what living systems, right? They're just doing it. They're just trying to sustain and maintain the environment so they can themselves live, and other living systems subsist off those you know, maintained environments.
Right.
These waste environments, they're produced by waste.
Right.
Right. We're not efficient at all. We're like like as far as like efficiency goes, compared to other other living systems, like
right, yeah, right, yeah,
like inefficient, right? So we like acknowledging our own inefficiency is important, and we're not just talking about economy, like fuck economy. We're not even at the economic level, we're just talking about like, and we're not talking about and that's the thing is that our whole culture shames us for sitting on the couch. They shame people that don't produce or whatever. But that concept's false. Every living body eats and poops and produces.
Would you
You are the bottom of the economy.
Would you separate natural nature waste human commodification,
like
human commodification? Would you separate those two things?
Products or whatever.
Would you separate those two things?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Honestly, and here's the first thing. I don't think a drug addict is wasteful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think a human seeking their own experience is wasteful. I'm gonna be nice to the rich elitists in the sense their desire for pleasure and to maintain their comfort in their lifestyle is totally a human thing, and and it's non-different from the desires from a drug addict.
Yep.
Right. As far as desire goes, everybody has a desire. It exists, and capitalism tries to attach itself to desire and say capitalism is can sustain human desire, can make human desire possible. But the truth is that humans desire other things beyond just blips of experience of getting high, or that ride on the fucking yacht or whatever. That's not the only thing. Humans also have community experience. Even that ride on that yacht requires all this society and all these communal aspects to make it possible. And yeah, you could ride on the yacht and be like, I did all this, I did the yacht.
Yeah, right.
But you didn't, right? You didn't. You're just the wave. You're just like a point on the wave, on a whole wave of being.
Which goes back to Eastern mysticism.
Which goes back to Eastern mysticism, as we were talking about before we began recording.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, right.
This is the whole thing. This is the whole thing, man. Interdependence. Everything relies on everything else. Everything relies on everything else.
Oh, right. But we have a culture where we're so afraid of interdependence. We frame interdependence as dependency.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, even when we talk about interdependence, we talk about it as if it's a human-centric thing, it's a human-centric thing, and two, that even if you were to bring the environment into the equation, even if you were to bring the environment into the equation, that there's still a separation between humans. Like if you want to actually wake up.
Once you sort of perceptually wake up and sort of see that these things are part of the same thing, sort of see that these things are part of the same thing.
And if an alien race were to look down on us,
they'd say, that's one process.
They'd say, oh, that's beings are one part of the process. The plants are another beings are one part of the process. The plants is another part. The weather's another part, and the clouds another part. The weather's another part, and the clouds another part.
Yeah, I liked how you brought the alien because I really like sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I think about universal intelligence, what that is, I would argue or even say that we don't need alien intelligences, outside alien intelligences, to acknowledge alien life on our planet. In the concept, the othering that humans do.
Yeah, right.
We alienate a rat from our consciousness, right? But a rat, in fact, like in fact, actually lives on human systems. Sustains it's like as far as like a body of species, the rat is able to sustain itself because humans exist. Because humans actually build homes for
Yeah,
rats.
I guess they do. Yeah, I guess they do. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. That's mental.
It's part
That's
of our
mental.
part of who it's and I would say that we, I mean, even in the scientifically, that's why they use rats, because we have a shared communal intelligence with rats. But we, like, rats are gross.
Even though squirrels aren't gross. Even though squirrels aren't gross. Isn't it?
Right.
That's the funny thing, isn't it? They're pretty much the same fucking thing, except the squirrels have the nice tails. Much the same fucking thing, except the squirrels have the nice tails.
Right. So they did this study where they were like, they were asking people questions about how they felt about things, right? And they put a trash can in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, and they found out the people that had the trash can in the room, they controlled study, and the people that had the trash can in the room had a tendency to have a negative perspective on all the questions they were asked.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so the concept disgust is associated with like and dislike.
Yeah.
It's one of our like natural biases, even. And it plays into our own our own aesthetics about like and dislike and disgust, and like, you look at you on your couch, you disgust me, and you're not clean, and purity, and all this other stuff. And that's so it plays into our psychology. Purity politics, and and all this stuff. It plays into like, we're disgust. I'm going to shame you, and you are sinful. It plays into our moral scope, and we do that with animals, right? And we other the world. It's like the natural world. It's disgusting. You get dirty, and I got to clean my house obsessively to keep out the pests.
There's loads of London fucking on my face. There's loads of London fucking on my face.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not saying that we don't need to do that. It's important to keep your laboratory clean. I mean, and humans have boundaries between us and the space around us, and those boundaries are important because it maintains our health. That's why we put a mask on. Those boundaries are important. And to say that those boundaries don't exist and those boundaries are fascism to wear a mask is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Humans actually, that's one of the great things about humans. We actually, because we can define ourselves between us and the environment, we're able to actually not let the environment steamroll us.
Yeah, but like again, like is that what we want? But like again, like is that what we want?
Talk about sort of quest for immortality. They sort of talk about sort of quest for immortality. Do we really want that, or is that just like a do we really want that, or is that just like a mimetic idea that's been generated in our heads?
I mean, we can get like we can straight argue from the primitivist perspective, like fucks, like the anti-civilization perspective, if you want.
Yeah.
Because they have a whole camp, right? So we have to be careful. Like we're not really, and that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about nuance, right? We're like, it's not about extreme. Like, there's a tendency for people to go, oh yeah, so morality is like, in a non-structural sense, there's no a postmodern sense, there's no morality, right? But that's not what the postmodernists are really saying about morality.
Yeah.
And in a lot of like in the purity, in a Puritan sense, we have a tendency to go to the extreme of that. That means that there's what do they call that? Well, there's no not amorality, but moral relativism, right?
Yeah.
Right. But moral relativism isn't what postmodernism was talking about, but they're often framed as that, right?
Yeah.
Right. And
I mean, even Chomsky, even Chomsky, like that or whatever, labeled them as that or whatever,
Right. Right. And I don't think that the true, like I name me one, like postmodern philosopher that was actually arguing about moral relativism. I don't know anyone. Even Deleuze, like deep postmodern fucking philosopher wasn't talking about moral relativism.
Right. I mean, Foucault may have made the implication that moral knowledge is predicated on power, is predicated on power, and nothing else, perhaps. Not the and nothing else, perhaps.
Well, right, but again, that's the thing, is that's not even that's not really a moral relativism. That's like that sounds like moral essentialism almost, and I really don't even know if that's what Foucault was saying.
Yeah,
and a lot of and that I think that's part of what's hard about understanding like the deep left concept of it, is that it's intersectional.
Right.
Intersectional politics. It's not identity politics. It's not essentialist. It's existential, right? Foucault was like, power exists, and power does what it does.
Yeah.
And Noam Chomsky's fucking
right.
But we always have to perpetually be aware of that power.
Yeah. Again, like nuance.
In the world.
Yeah. Again, like nuance.
Right.
Like it's not that everything it's not that everything is entirely predicated on power and power alone, and we must throw out power. That's crazy.
Right. We can't get rid of it. That's what Foucault was saying. It's not like, no matter how efficient our systems are, no matter how much we can make it a whole process, define the process and make it like efficient and all these other stuff, is still a problem of like hegemonic power structures, and that it even boils down to the idea of the human, like I was saying, but it plays into the like, as far as the basic human bias goes, I think that we can manage, and is ableism.
Yeah.
Right. Like if we talk about power structures, like ableism is a huge one. I mean, I like the patriarchy. Like fuck patriarchy, fuck capitalism. Like I like all that, but I like, me personally, I think ableism is like, especially the intellectual department.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like. Yeah. To me, I think like, as far as like if we want to fight something, ableist language is really something we should try to avoid. It's like, treat you like you're fucking stupid or something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm fucking stupid, but
I think you should write, man. I think you have enough to talk about. I think you have enough to talk about. You just come out of this shit on the fly. You just come out of this shit on the fly. I think that's pretty inspiring, because it's pretty inspiring. Yeah, I think putting those thoughts to paper. I think putting those thoughts to paper might be like really.
I've been doing it just through I'm very interpersonal, about interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
And I believe I can only affect directly so many individuals in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, language, when I start writing, I start, like, for me, it's either strictly prose or poetry.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me because I start to lean into that poetry, and if I really want to be like saying something directly, that poetry just doesn't work, right? And it's hard because
That's why Nietzsche's so good, though, because he's very poetic. That's why Nietzsche's so good, though, because he's very poetic, but he's also very to the point. That's what I like about Nietzsche.
Yeah.
He sort of manages. That's what I like about Nietzsche. He sort of manages literary ideas, those ideas, as literary ideas.
And I'll probably write someday. I'm not, like the other day I was like, I'm not writing, you son of bitches, like I was just.
I know. I just feel like. I know. I just feel like. I feel like. You can only affect some amount of people in life. Yeah, you can only affect some amount of people in life. Yeah, making things into artifacts. The process of having real discussion. It takes away from the process of having real discussion. However, there could always be more books. There could always be more books. There isn't like. There isn't a shortage of books. There's always a shortage of books.
You really did inspire me last night when you were reading from your fucking book and shit. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, I loved it. I was like, damn, and like, that I mean, I really think that, I definitely do think like it's important to like, and definitely know that it would be helpful for me as a professional way to be able to collect my thoughts and stuff. But I get frustrated because again, so the medium is the message, and sometimes I feel like I'm not able to like fully express myself, and it frustrates me, And I have personality, and so I'm down to like, express that. I think that I appreciate you actually having me here in your platform here to talk.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I'm down. Let's fucking get into the fucking meat. I think
we'll do more of these for sure. Like we'll do more of these for sure.
Vince,
we'll get Vian and
Dylan if he wants to come.
and Dylan if he wants to come.
Yeah, well, we can bring the whole party, but like if you get any comments on these threads, bring these people. Like we need to bring a bunch of young people, and bring bring those knowledge heads to the table. I want them to like shoot us ideas to talk about. Let's I want to. I mean, we can do this, dude. I'm down.
It's good.
I'm telling you,
fucking cool, man. It's good. Yeah, it's fucking cool, man.
Something happen. I think. What I'm saying is that you got a personality. I got a personality. We both have drive.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, like
so.
Well, I mean, like a lot of this.
I want to invest in a better. I mean, I obviously lost my tablet. I want to have a reason to do that.
Yeah.
So and I have, like I said, I have a lot of things to talk about. So and I don't want to control the conversation ever. So but I want to be able like bring V and have conversations with other social people.
I'd have them a little more public. I'd have them a little more public so people and archive so people can the conversations. That's what social media is all about, right? That's what social media is all about, right? We need to turn social media rather than flag social conversations rather than flag posting, which is what social media is.
Saying, bro, is that you are younger than me. Yeah. I'm older than you. You're from a different place. Yeah. I'm from a different place. I mean, I think that we can there's a whole diaspora of conversation that we can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Through through our basic understanding of philosophy and stuff like that. Because
I mean, that's kind of what this is kind of what this whole. I mean, that's kind of what this is kind of what this whole channel
this sort of
is
stuff.
For anyway. But now that Dylan's invited me with you guys, now that Dylan's to have people that I you guys, it's nice to have people that I could can really focus into something more philosophical. Not exclusively philosophical, because not exclusively philosophical. The power of the DIY music ethic, because the power of the DIY music ethic, because it's nice to have variety. The main thing about the main thing about this philosophy, life, art, culture, community. Philosophy, life, art, culture, community. Those are like the five Ks. The 5Ks of the 5Ks of.
I didn't get to tell you this yesterday in the conversation we had. You were like, you name dropped Wittgenstein and picture theory.
Yeah.
I was like, clap back, son. I love it. I'm like, and me, I'm still, I haven't read any Wittgenstein outside.
Well, I think done two. He only did like 2 books. Well, I think done 2. He only did like 2 books, I think. So.
Well, he wrote some later stuff.
I've read half of that
stuff,
one. But I've read half of that one. And I'll probably get a lot of shit. I'll probably get a lot of shit if people if things get backed up and they find that the book is like done back up and they find that the book is like done finishing philosophical investigation, finishing the second book philosophical investigation theory, which is the second book about but I've read about half. But I've read about half. I was like, okay, I kind of get what he's talking. So I and there was obviously I watched lots of obviously I watched lots of like podcasts and literature about him. I mean like I mean like
I mean the whole philosophically speaking, historically speaking, the whole project around Wittgenstein blew up.
Yeah.
Outside of his own control. He became suddenly like these people came along with logical positivism.
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course,
logical
yeah, the Vienna Circle.
right?
People who don't know, it's like it's based on the Vienna Circle. People who don't know, it's like that
language can only do so much,
that language can only do so
what
much,
we're talking about,
and that we need to be precise in what we're talking about.
And this is based on
that which can be said clear, that which can be said clearly. But of course, they completely misunderstood what Wittgenstein was trying to say. They completely misunderstood what Wittgenstein was trying to say. Some parts of the human experience, some parts of the human experience that can't be spoken about are the most important. That can't be spoken about are the most important because they can't be spoken of. And that was the.
Right, and it's a very Eastern
I mean,
perspective.
a lot of people
it is,
sort of told me
yeah.
off. I mean, a lot of people sort of told me off.
I'm looking
when I said, people interested in Wittgenstein and other Eastern philosophy, Wittgenstein and other Eastern philosophy. What do you mean by other Eastern philosophy? What do you mean by other Eastern philosophy? I kind of miswrote it, but I was like, it made sense in my head. I kind of miswrote it, but I sort of made sense in my head. I was like, well,
he kind of has this Eastern
perspective of Zen mentality and all the rest of it.
Well, yeah. Well, hold on now. I would give you that. I would tell you that an Eastern perspective, like as far as like logic goes, they had already acknowledged that silence, and they worked silence into their logic's perspective.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
And so like the truth is you can't be talked about, can't be named, then nameable, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You can put a name on it, but it's just it's like a guiding. It's something. It's like a finger pointing at the moon, right?
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
I mean, I don't know because I'm not a logic guy, but honestly, I think they call it paraconsistent logic, right? And paraconsistent logic, I mean, it wasn't really formulated until like the 1960s in the Western framework, but in the Eastern Buddhism they use paraconsistent logic all the time. And paraconsistent logic is different than consistent logic. And it does definitely play into like the intersubjective, the interdependent concept of beingness or of self, where the self is not consistent. It's actually a paraconsistent phenomenon.
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a parasocial. It's the self, the idea.
Yeah.
The self is, the ego. The ego as a construct. I mean, as far as the idea of the self goes, the ego self is it didn't produce itself. It's a response to the environment around it.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, where do you exactly? I mean, where do you bootstrap be held up by? It's not, and it's not separate from the. It's not, and it's not separate from the. I wanted to read something. I was trying to find something from my book. I wanted to read something. I was trying to find something from my book. Relevant. All statements are preceded and succeeded. All statements are preceded and succeeded, and that is the profound sort of statement. What that is such a statement of silence? How much clearer the general perception would be if we could attribute and ground the basis for appropriate metaphysical ground the basis for social, spiritual, and institutional assumptions on the silence that preceded and succeeded on the silence that preceded and succeeded all statements? Question mark.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of but it's really interesting. That's kind of but it's really interesting to think about like silence. If we were to talk about, if we're talking about, if we're talking about how we could look at metaphysical, moral, spiritual, social, moral ideas based on institutional ideas. What sort of based on silence we create? What sort of spiritual would we create? Spiritualizations would we create? Spiritualizations would we create? What sort of moral philosophies? I mean, that's what I tried to do. What sort of moral philosophies? I mean, that's what I tried to do in the one of the morality of silence. Morality of silence. I say like, okay, what sort of morality? I say like, okay, what sort of morality could exist? Based on the idea of nothingness, based on the idea of nothing, what I call the real, which is like, or what I know as the real, which is like, I know it's just kind of got the same as the like, real, the real, the nothing, like, which is my the real, the nothing, the world as it is, which is my idea of like the world as it is.
Have you done any Deleuze? Have you
not yet? Not yet. Not yet.
You ought to be. Deleuze is fucking like. I love Deleuze. Deleuze is fucking amazing. He's definitely up there on my fucking top 5.
Yeah.
Western philosophers. Western philosophers. Absolutely. Deleuze guitar, it's like it's like
schizoanalytics and stuff. Schizoanalytics.
Well, they play with language.
Right.
They're not afraid to use new words.
Yeah.
Right. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
Like even like Derrida used the word deference.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah. And Foucault used biopower. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And Foucault used biopower.
Right. And Derrida used the word hauntology.
I love that word.
In place of ontology.
It's great. I love that word. It's great.
And basically, and he was like, I did that on purpose because he was like, ontologies are hauntologies. Is what he's saying. They're like they're like this myth that won't die.
Yeah. And
and we start then we start getting into like the necropolitical, necro power. You're necro power.
I'm guessing it's. I'm guessing control how we think. Old white dead men control how we think.
It's definitely the word was actually comes from a post-colonial African philosopher, but he's playing off of Foucault's biopower terminology. Right. It's associated with power,
right?
And he's calling it necro power. And it plays into the concept of necropolitics. And necropolitics is like that the concept of like neoliberalism, the shock doctrine. Like there's no like the waste itself is an externality. It's an externality. It's not. It's always over there.
What do you mean by that exactly? What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, I mean that's an externality in a capitalist sense. Like the mind that will be produced. It doesn't matter the waste of the mind. It's the what the mind gets out of the mind.
Up.
And all the
conjures
whatever's left over, the waste is just whatever, and that's what we're dealing with. Like with like we're dealing with this necropolitical world where it doesn't matter what the environment looks like after we get out of it. It's what we immediately get out of it.
Yeah.
That matters to us.
Yeah.
Right. And then they start to gamify it, where like the idea that if you don't produce in your life, you ought to die. That's the
right.
That's the very definition of the necropolitical.
Right. So it wasn't what I was saying. I thought it was. Right. Okay. So it wasn't what I was saying. No, I thought it was. Okay. Necropolitical. How interesting. Okay. How interesting.
That's why MAGA is a death cult. That's why these capitalists are death cults. It's a death cult.
It's a death cult. Waste or produce or waste or produce or waste away. Produce or make waste or be wasted. Make waste or be wasted. That's funny.
If you make waste we want, funny. If you're not producing the right waste, make waste that's reproducible for us.
Yeah.
They have to be able to reproduce your waste. It's all trash anyways. But.
That's so funny. Oh man, that's so funny.
I mean, the world's shit, but the material world's shit. That's the extreme Vishnu. Eastern European perspective. Eastern.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other parts of the book that might be relevant to this. So I could quote them. I don't know exactly what it would be though.
Well, let me get your book. I gotta get your book and read your book.
Yeah.
We're talking about your book. Let me pay you some money. Can you send you a book? Send me a book.
I will. When they're printed. Yeah, definitely.
Fuck that. I want the version. I don't care if it's fucking printed. I just care as long as it's edited.
It's edited. It's done. It's done now. CD. It's edited. It's done. It's done now. CD. It's done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's done, let me fucking read it.
All right, sounds good. Do you want to? Do you? All right, sounds good.
Have you read Dylan's Formal Dialectics?
I haven't. Is it good? I haven't. You have it.
It was
Oh, you haven't.
I can't afford it.
You can't afford it. How much is it? You can't afford it. How much?
Well,
the
last time I checked, he was like it was like $125 is what he was.
What the fuck?
I mean, it's a
for a book. For a book.
He's marketing like he's like it's an intellectual. It's like academic book.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
So
Bloody hell.
And I really don't think he means to make it that.
No, he doesn't. Cambridge Scholars. No, he doesn't. Cambridge Scholars. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Like, it's he was going to. He was going to. They make the price. They make the price basically.
Yeah, and so I want the book, but I'm not reading right now. But I mean, like Dylan and I haven't done enough. Like Dylan has always wanted me to read all this shit. I haven't done it. I feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in actually talking with the guy.
I found. Yeah, right. And he's a cool guy. I found. Yeah, he's a maniac. And he's a cool guy. He's a maniac, but he's.
I've talked to him a number of times. He's almost always drunk every time I talk to him. It was just awesome. I love,
I found a part of my book that you might like, and this is based off the idea that language makes things unitary. That language makes things unitary. So language says like this is a thing. So language says like this is a thing. This is a thing. This is a thing. Therefore, like the content and the method of our communication and the results in the idea of economic exchange. So the idea of economic exchange. So I say something that turns into a unit. Then you say something that turns into a unit. And then we both exchange units. And then we both exchange. But obviously this, and this is a fundamental feature of language. This is a fundamental feature of language. We can't actually speak because I'm going to be speaking as long as I want, but then I'm going to be speaking as long as I want, but then I'm going that turns into a unit, and then you're going to respond. We feel like there's a fair exchange. And then obviously when the conversation's done, we feel when that doesn't go according to plan, we feel when that doesn't go according to plan, we feel to me there is something going wrong with someone who's not responding to me. There is something going wrong with if that is the way you look at it. If that is the way you look at it, if
right, no, I like it.
So basically, relate this to capitalism. Obviously, relate the socio-cultural product, which is what I call the socio-cultural product, which is what I call the sort of the way that the idea, as you said, the way that the idea, as you said, reproduce, from the fundamental laws of the laws of from the fundamental laws of the whole social embedded ideas on how we whole social embedded ideas on how we operate. So. Yeah. So the first problem refers to our disconnect from reality. So the first problem refers to our disconnect from reality, perception of creatures embedded in which not only do we perceive businesses in which not only do we perceive, but we will also intend that unitary will be equitable. Also intend something to serve both parties and individuals, and not as selfless both parties and individuals, and not as selfless. Physical reality does not see businesses, physical reality does not see businesses exchange whatsoever. Zero-sum game reality of exchange whatsoever. And this reality is something we should exercise. This is all true in the sense that we are never satisfied. This is all true in mindset. We are never satisfied with the economic mindset, for we always wish to grow and grow and grow our knowledge and materials. And then the second point is an outcome in the case that the second point is an outcome in the case that we illustrates our disconnect from reality. But still further illustrates the unsatisfactory points of exchange, both the unsatisfactory points of exchange, both at all, and that it was definitely necessary at all, and that it was definitely necessary, not this way, for this purpose, this way, not this way. Thus, the nature of the actual transaction blinds us from the nature of the actual transaction blinds us from the nature of how alternative. Furthermore, it implies such an exchange as an empirical, non-conceptual exchange as an empirical, non-conceptual, and was not too embodied and relative to particular and was not too embodied in economic particular assumptions about what it means to be in together, what it means to be socio-cultural together, what it means to wider seller, and or else we lose its wider context.
Right? Yeah. No, that's what, bro. You got to read some Guy Debord, Size and Spectacle, straight up, bro.
Oh, yeah.
You're like. You're like that's like almost like right out of that fucking shit. And I'm not telling you should read it. Maybe you shouldn't. It's great that you're doing your own.
I'll read it. I'll read it. I mean, I'll read it. I'll read it.
See, I mean, honestly, a big part of the reason why I don't read sometimes is because I don't want others to pollute the work that I'm working on.
Yes, I know. Right? That's how I feel sometimes. Yes, I know. That's how I feel sometimes.
It's like I just, it's like I have this like too much, Yeah, I have to frame it, but it's important to pick up on other people's lexicon and language and stuff like that, and like there's whole frameworks that I just don't, I'm still don't like, pantheism, for example, like I like pantheism, but everything, about like I fundamentally disagree with a lot of their, premises. I'd like to, I'd like to supply, some, critique and like help that community, ground some of their, concepts, but a lot of them don't want to move beyond this concept that of intelligence or consciousness being universal versus local.
Yeah.
To me, consciousness is local, local phenomena, and we can't really claim a universal.
Right.
And to claim a universal is a hubris.
Right.
As far as being conscious, even the idea of being conscious goes. Right. It runs against the idea of being conscious. Conscious is not like it's a local thing. I mean, like you're aware of context and and all that stuff.
Yeah, I do understand. Yeah, I do understand. It's kind of reductionist to sort of say that. It's kind of reductionist to sort of say local.
What do you mean by universal? What do you mean by local? What do you mean by universal
Right,
consciousness?
right. Well, we have to get right. Well, that's the thing is that pantheism, right, is this concept that consciousness is something like gravity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, and that's like the spiritual community, the hardcore perspective of that, like, and it leans into that because in the philosophy, that's somebody like a Daniel Dennett argues against.
Right.
I really don't like Dennett. I don't like Dennett, but Dennett, it argues against it. And and to me, I think it's hubris to presume our own ideas of consciousness upon the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think that when we have troubles acknowledging other consciousnesses around us, like we do that in a way with pets, but we do it in a parasocial way. Like the pet is supplies the petness for us.
Yeah.
But the reality is that the dog has been with the human for how many thousands of years, right? And the dog, what is the dog teaching us? What has the dog taught us about consciousness?
I think a few things. I mean, was that a rhetorical question? I think a few things. There is was that a rhetorical question? But like that, there is something.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is like, and we say we own that intelligence, but we borrowed that intelligence from other living systems. Yeah. These other systems around us, like, have taught us things.
Yeah.
Like lizards and chickens and the ancient dinosaurs taught the mammals certain things, and the mammals were like responding to those systems, like those other, like, and they think differently, like reptiles and think differently, than humans. Birds think differently than humans.
Yeah.
But we can adapt some bird logic, but we're not birds.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
And I think that, like, we don't really, realize that, like when we start thinking, even in the technological sense, like when I pick up a hammer, I'm doing something that's very primitive, and it's not just human primitive. It's like ancient, like I'm smashing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I can also do that with like a hammer and a nail, or cutting something. When I cut something, when that cutting is an ancient technology. A saw looks like teeth for a reason.
Yeah. 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 Right.
Okay, like, and these are like borrowed intelligences that we've incorporated into our sense of who we are as humans.
Yeah.
But we're not really acknowledging these other living systems as teaching us, and we want to kill them or just like act like they don't exist. And we're still doing that with not only like animal systems. We do that with indigenous populations. We frame the natives as being dead, and gone. even the idea that the Celtic or people are God. They're not God. There's plenty of Celtic communities
it's all fucked,
today.
isn't it? It's it's all fucked, isn't it? It's a real like it's tragedy. It's a real like. I mean, I'll read another part of. I'll read another part of. I'll read another part.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'll find it. Luckily, I can just search for a word and find the. Luckily, I can just search for a word and find the English. Find it.
Nice.
English. Oh, right. I misspelt it. A quarter of 0 occurrences. I misspelt it. A quarter of 0 occurrences. Because. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Nope. 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 Okay. Okay. Oh, it's not on this version. That's really. Oh, it's not on this version. That's really. Basically, I say that like. Basically, I say
one of the universal functions of language is
one of the universal functions of language validity of one's lingual-based experience, and the other one is lingual-based experience, and the other one is experiences as opposed to those of one's lingual-based experiences, as opposed to basically speak different languages. And they basically the sociocultural product is the pervasive nature of the American English to dominate nature of American English to dominate all thought systems, and how everyone is eventually going to and how everyone is eventually going to like a very huge tragedy. American English subjects like a very huge tragedy. Not only that, we're also like losing. Not only that, we're also like losing literal subjective literal worlds. We're literal subjective literal worlds. We're losing like animal worlds. It's based on this idea of like. It's based on this idea and show them the right way of living. We even do this in terms of the Middle East. We even do this in terms of the Middle East. They're primitive. They live in the Dark Age. They're primitive. We can't just let it happen. It's like yes, you can. We can't just let it happen. It's like yes, you can. The more you intervene, weirdly enough, the more you intervene, weirdly enough, it gets worse. Terrorist situation gets worse. It's almost like a sign. It's almost like around other cultures. That you shouldn't be fucking around with other cultures. Like you should not be intervening. Like trying to you should not be intervening as passive, aggressive form of passive oppression, aggressive form of oppression.
Jimmy, I love you, brother. We're gonna. we have to call it a night at some point in time. Man. Especially with live streaming or whatever. Like we can fucking touch it to everything. That's part of what.
I'm surprised you're telling me to stop. I thought I'd be. I'm surprised you're telling me to stop. I thought I'd be. I have to tell you that because you have so much to talk about. But I'm glad you said that. We're on an hour and 21 minutes. I'm glad you said that. We're on an hour and 21 minutes. So that's a pretty nice size podcast.
Well, I mean, and I'm excited to be able to talk about this stuff too. Because it's I've done a lot of drugs.
That's fine. I mean, it's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's fine. We literally had Tory ministers. I mean, we literally had Tory ministers. They're still sort of admit that they've done drugs, and they're still like elected. So I wouldn't worry about that. Funny though.
All right, man.
Wait a second. Wait. We gotta thank our patrons. Wait a second. Wait. We gotta thank our patrons before you go. All right. We'll thank our honourable mentions. These people who subscribe to Patreon. They help support the podcast. They help support the podcast. They get shout outs such as the ones I'm doing now. They get shout outs such as the ones I'm doing now. And also, they get depends on what site rank you are. You get $1, £1, you are. You get $1, £1, £3 off, £5 off to one. Our next podcast is going to be our next podcast is going to be a patron-only podcast. So we're going to do Patreon. So and these are people that thank Patreon. No matter what rank you are, thank you. You get no matter what rank you are, you get a shout out, which means that donate a phrase. Have a phrase out. Donate a phrase. And you can just have a phrase out. Read it out every podcast, and you can just put it on. We thank Oliver who says, "Yeah, I'll drink to that." We thank Oliver. We thank Manny. Yeah, I'll drink to that. Long live. We thank Manny who says. We thank Long live Maisie who says 9/11 was an inside job. Maisie who says 9/11 was an inside job. And we thank George who says nothing yet.
By the power of Grayskull. By the power of Grayskull.
That's about it. All right, CD. That's about it. All right, CD. Thanks very much. Love you so much. Take it easy.